To the weather in Colorado now. Hurricane force winds throughout the metro today have created devastating fires.
Tonight, up-to-the-minute information on the fire and the wild wind on this first alert action day. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us. And just within the past 15 minutes, we learned that Mapleton schools in Adams County are closing school due to weather-related power outages. And the wind certainly did not spare downtown Denver. Take a look at this. A green roof caught fire at Secura Square at 19th and Larimer. And then just a few blocks from there, this big chunk of a metal roof from the Denver Center for Performing Arts blew off and landed on that pickup. Yeah, nobody was hurt.
You know, and just within the last hour, we have new video showing that piece of roof. Do you see it just hitting that truck there? Wow. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but you get a closer view landing right on top. Parked there at 14th and Champa. What a weird weather day. Denver 7's Ryan Luby is there now. And Ryan, that is dangerous and it's scary.
It really is scary, and it kind of looks almost like an art exhibit or something like that out here now. 14th Street here just literally reopened seconds ago, along with Champa as well. But officers had a large portion of this area blocked off around the DCPA here because they were concerned, understandably, that more of this roofing material was going to fly off of this building. And we can still see that there's a part or some pieces of it still hanging over the edge right now. It's been up there for some time and hasn't actually had fallen or moved just yet. Firefighters were out here about an hour or so ago, presumably to assess how bad the damage is. They have since left, understandably, because this could theoretically still get worse. That's why you still see part of Champa blocked off here by these metal grates that just went up. But yeah, really scary, dangerous stuff. Thankfully, nobody was injured. We don't believe anybody was inside that pickup truck when this roofing material crashed down on the truck like that some 2 or 3 hours ago. But yeah, really windy day. It's still windy out here right now. For now, we're live here at 14th and Champa. I'm Ryan Luby, Denver 7.
I'm sure causing some traffic troubles out there. Thank you, Ryan. Now take a look at some of the intense weather images coming in from all over the state today. This was in the San Luis Valley. Blowing dust, creating almost zero visibility. Similar issues closed major highways in northern Colorado. Look at all that traffic. And then at one point, CDOT told truck drivers just stay off the road because the wind just made things way too dangerous. And now here's a live look at traffic around the metro area. And as you can see, there are still several trouble spots.
Yikes. And we saw more than a dozen grass fires across Colorado today. This one is the Indian Creek Fire. This is in southwestern Douglas County. And in fact, at this hour, it continues to smolder. That one burned about 11 acres near Highway 67 and Rampart Range Road. And at one point, 100 fire crews on the scene. And tonight, most of them have gone home, and the fire is 20% contained.
Now take a look at this map. It shows all the active fires in our state right now. More than a half dozen are still burning, all of them south of the metro. And some of the most devastating images are out of Castle Rock, where 7 homes caught fire just before noon. No one was hurt, thankfully. Neighbors, they all jumped into action, alerting people about the fire, just making sure that everyone made it to safety.
My neighbor over there was knocking on windows, trying to make sure nobody was home.
Was your heart racing?
Oh, yes. My adrenaline's still pumping. And now talking about it even more has got me going up again.
Wow, the Castle Rock Fire Chief called today's events a worst-case scenario. Limited resources combined with this wind made it awfully difficult for crews to get the help they needed.
And Denver 7 Sally Mamdou is joining us from the scene to explain the response time issues here. Sally?
And for 15 minutes, residents here had to watch homes go up in flames as firefighters were struggling to make it to the scene because they were already tied up at 2 other major calls. Tonight, they're glad their limited resources didn't cost any lives.
I heard sirens, and they got louder and louder.
Flames getting closer to Steve Young's house.
I could see flames jutting out from the garage windows.
Billows of smoke coming from 2 homes across the street.
This fire was moving fast, a lot of heat.
The 40-mile-per-hour wind quickly spread the fire to a 3rd home, prompting evacuation.
Residents are being asked to evacuate your residences due to a structure fire in the area.
And with no fire crews around, neighbors began to worry for their own homes.
I know that it took them about 15 minutes to get here after the fire started. And so the front of this house, the first house, was already demolished by the time they got here.
Mike Jung quickly jumped in to help.
Several of the neighbors and I ran around to this house next door and were banging on windows and doors just trying to make sure nobody's home because it was already catching fire. But it took quite a while for the trucks to get here.
15 minutes is pretty good when nobody's left in town.
Castle Rock Fire Chief Art Morales says on a normal day, their department is equipped to handle one house fire at a time. Today, their department was dealing with 3 major calls happening all around the same time, stretching their resources thin. At 9:15 this morning, fire crews were fighting a 3-alarm grass fire near Toma Road. A few minutes later, they're dealing with a gas leak at Kaiser facility. Then at 10, they had to search for crews to respond to the house fire. Chief Morales says when the initial crew got on scene, they had to make the most of what they had until equipment arrived.
We were basically protecting those houses with garden hoses until we were able to get those fire trucks in position to start knocking down the big fire.
But despite an unusual high call volume and rapidly moving winds making for a worst case scenario, Chief Morales says he's glad they're just counting damages and not lives lost. Now, the cause of the fire remains unknown. In the meantime, the fire chief says the people need to be mindful of their town's fire ban because in situations where you have high wind like today and no humidity, fires can spread quickly, causing severe damage like the ones we've seen today. We are live in Castle Rock. Sally Mebdu, Denver 7.
I know, I can't get over those pictures of those houses burning. Thank you, Sally.
So let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson. We can't sustain these conditions forever, Mike.
No, fortunately, the worst is already over. It's not completely calm out there by any means, but nothing like what we had a few hours ago. 89 miles an hour at Louisville, 86 miles an hour at Broomfield. Rocky Flats had 83-mile-an-hour winds. Here's what's happening right now. The winds are still very strong in the 20s up to about 55 miles per hour, but they're not as strong as they were as the main weather front is moving farther east. This is the view looking from the camera that we have up Weston Hotel in Westminster at the clouds coming off the mountains where it is snowing up there. High wind warning stays in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. The fire weather warning in effect until 8 p.m. tonight, but the cold front has already moved through. Behind it, the winds are going to gradually subside, especially after sunset. So that is going to be good news. And look at the temperature contrast. It's still 88 at Dodge City. It's down to 20 degrees in Leadville, and we've already cooled down from the 70s to 50 here in the Denver area. So for the evening, the worst of the winds are over. It'll get much better after 9 p.m. And we need moisture. I have a soggy storm in the extended outlook, and that's coming in for Friday.
Oh, what a day, Mike. Thanks. And listen, we posted dozens of these great photos of well, what the weather did. You can find them right now on our website, thedenverchannel.com. And don't forget to send us your pictures on social media. We may use them on air.